Devlin here with you, and welcome to another one of my Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. And I am giddy because I'm always giddy when I have someone in the studio with me. We're actually not. We're very luxurious today. We're in the living room because for many of you it's been hot as hell lately and the studio is a little warm, so we decided to come out here. It's not much better, but a little. Anyhow, forget about all that. I've got a guest here with me who's dying to talk. And I met this man through improv. I know you're all saying, I bet you it's through improv, because most of them are. And I remember when I first met him, the first thing, besides the fact that he's obviously good looking, is that he had a real charisma about him. Like a real, I don't know how to say it, was like a charm. I remember it was very infectious. I'm like, who is this man? It's like, I was drawn to it. He's nodding in agreement, so I like that he enjoys it. A lot of people, this is a hard part for them to get through because they're like, really, are you going to just sit here while I get... Anyhow, I can't talk until I mention his name. So anyhow, he was really charismatic, and I remember seeing him on stage. He was like, I liked him because he was kind of like an old school matinee action hero mixed with an animated character. And that was kind of awesome because I had never seen that before. It's like, he's got matinee good looks, but he comes off a little like he could be in a Looney Tunes cartoon as well. And basically, when I got to know him a little bit, I found out he had this incredible journey where he dealt with a lot of demons and mental health issues, and he has taken that to educate people through his variety shows, his one-man shows, his cartooning. And we're going to talk a little bit about all that and much, much more. I welcome Harrison Wheeler.
Hey, Devlin, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Good. You didn't mind the opening?
It's kind of awkward. I know I don't take compliments very well.
Yeah, some people hate that part. Like
I'm learning to.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm on a 7-week course. Yeah, it's basically we just sit down, and for the first 20 minutes it's insults. We get everyone's self-esteem really low, and then the next 30 minutes we build everyone's self-esteem back up with a barrage of compliments.
Really?
Yeah. No.
I agree with you though. I always hate compliments too, but I've learned to deal with them. And the way I explained it was, I remember recently telling a young guy who. Somebody, complimented him, and he kind of did the old, oh, I'm not that, And I took him aside and said, you know what? The next time someone compliments you, remember this. It probably took them a lot to compliment you, and you should take that into consideration. Mm-hmm. It's hard for people to say, you're awesome.
Yeah.
And what's worse is if you say, no, I'm not. Because it's like, screw your words. They mean nothing to me. So now when people compliment me, I take it. And even if it builds my ego way too far, which it does sometimes.
Yeah, no, I've definitely learned to say thank you, for sure. I mean, I think that's because if you say, no, I'm not, then you negate that person's, gesture and energy, and that's not cool.
And that young guy said, ever since you said that, I've taken that into consideration. And I say, it's a big part of it, because... Yeah. We talk about how awful it is to take a compliment, but giving it is just as big a gesture, so why not be just as big and just accept it and say, okay, that's your opinion. If it's not yours, don't tell me about it. How are you doing today?
I'm really good.
I'm really so happy to have you on.
It's so awesome to be here, man.
Yeah, I wanted you on for a long time, but these things just kind of happen.
Yeah.
I like when people do subtle hits. Not that you did that, but I've had a couple people like, I'm still waiting for that tin, right? I'm getting around here. I know. I've had other people on a couple of times. And I go, well, sometimes it's just easier calling up somebody. You busy?
Yeah.
I just realized I have a... People think I'm so meticulous with this show.
Right.
So for people who don't know you, where were you born and brought up?
Born in Edmonton, Alberta. Moved to Ontario when I was 2.
Really?
Yeah, so all of my memories of Edmonton were non-existent until I went back later and visited my grandmother and subsequent family members there. I grew up in St. Catharines, Ontario.
St. Catharines.
A lot of weirdos there, man, I tell you.
I know, I used to visit there. My aunt lived there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a different sound.
Yeah, I mean, my motto for St. Catharines is usually being a great place to grow up, an even better place to leave.
But is it true?
It's not.
I've heard a rumor they have a fairly high crime rate.
Yeah.
Is this true, or is this something you're hearing for the first time?
I haven't heard. I know that there's crime that happens for sure, but I don't know about the degree to which the crime happens.
I think it's like stealing and stuff like that, like car theft. But I just recently heard this, and the more I look into it, it's like, yeah, apparently this is a thing.
Yeah.
Which, it's such a nice little, we're next to Niagara Falls kind of.
Well, I think the port thing is an issue, certainly with drugs. There's a drug issue there for sure.
And you're right near the border, right?
Yeah, so where there's drugs, there's stealing, and where there's stealing, there's clandestine affairs. And where there's clandestine affairs, there's unwanted babies.
That's a good word. And then that might be one of the biggest words ever used on this show.
Yes! Ding, 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 ding! Winner! Daniel!
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable saying that word, but I love it. I've heard it in songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I love that you could just use it just like nothing.
These things slip out.
When did you make your escape? When did you leave St. Catharines?
I was 19. I went to McGill University for music. I went and studied music there for a year, and then ended up dropping out of music and getting into, then I just swam for a good 5 years after that in university. Not
Fighting
really,
yourself, quotes?
Kind of avoiding myself.
That's different than finding yourself.
It is, because, I went there because, music was my dream. Yeah. I was going to be a classical trumpet player.
I was just going to say, what was your instrument of choice?
Trumpet.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was, music is my first passion. Well, cartooning is my first passion, but music definitely right there with it. And
I was going to talk about your love of music since you bring it up, because of the fact that I've had at least 3 people who we've talked about music, or they're playing music in their car and said, Harrison Wheeler introduced me to this. He introduced, and I'm like, wow, I got to talk music to him sometime, although I like a lot of poppy stuff, but I like variety too. But and I'm like, I realized that's when I realized you were so into music, because people kept saying, yes, Harrison Wheeler was interested. We were talking music, and he introduced me these artists, and I thought that was awesome.
I am on the side. I am a music dealer.
Are you?
Illegal music dealer. Yeah.
Yes, so. And it's variety too. You like variety of music?
Yeah, totally. Studied classically trained piano and cello were my first 2 instruments. I played those 2 pretty high level growing up, and then got into trumpet. And I like trumpet because it's the instrument you can play classical and other music as well. So you can play jazz or funk or reggae, which you can't really do with a cello. You can do it, but it looks weird.
Actually, I think piano used in different types of music is really hot.
Yeah, I know that's true. Piano obviously is...
Like, when you see those old movies and jazz clubs and the piano players just wailing on the... Sorry, I'm turning myself on here. Who would have thought the piano...
You thought it was hot in here before the interview started. Now we started out with pianos, man. Forget about it.
So that's great. So, when did you start cartooning? Was that something you did all your...
Yeah, that was my earliest memory. Just drawing, love drawing, it's kind of where I go to my quiet space, everyone's got that kind of like childhood memory of being that place that they go. But I only really started focusing, I was that kid in the back of the class in high school who would draw funny pictures, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I think that's just how my brain works. I see the world, I see people as characters, I see the world as just a really big game that's being played, and it just seems really funny to me. So I see it in panels.
That's a wonderful way to look at it.
Yeah.
That just blew my mind when you said that.
Well, it's certainly detached. I'm definitely an observer, right? So, but then I didn't really actually concentrate on cartooning until like second year university, and once trumpet and music kind of fell through, I decided to...
Why do you think music kind of fell through for you? Just not...
No, it was kind of a traumatic episode. I damaged a nerve in my upper lip.
Okay.
From... Your face is hilarious right now. Every time I tell somebody that, they're like...
Well, I'm like...
WTF, man.
Well, yeah, because it is a weird statement.
It is.
Yeah,
but
I hope you're going to tell me how you did it.
Well, I played too much.
Okay.
I'm one of these overachievers that just doesn't understand how to rest or stop doing things.
Yeah. So once you're doing it, you're just keep doing it.
Yeah, and I excelled really quickly at the trumpet. So kept getting better. I was playing at a professional level when I was like 17, 18 years old, and I didn't see there was any reason to stop practicing. So I was practicing like 7, 8, 9 hours a day. And finally my body just said, I can't keep up to this anymore. Yeah. And so I damaged a nerve, and that just threw everything.
Well, I'm glad other people make that face, and I wasn't the first one. Like, what?
They're like, why did it happen? Like, they're expecting like a bar fight maybe, or a car accident or something.
Yeah, you want to have some awesome story to tell, but
yeah,
I guess, you know, like athletics, you get people who have injuries and have to stop doing things. You don't think of like a trumpet player to do that, but that's awesome to know.
Yeah, and it's a lot more common than I realized at the time. There's a lot. In fact, my teacher ended up telling me that he had the same thing happen when he was a kid.
Which makes sense that it would happen.
It's all muscles, it's all nerves.
Was it Dizzy Gillespie that had the big cheeks when he played?
Right, yeah.
You always thought that was going to explode at some point. You're surprised he never dealt with anything like that.
Oh yeah, he had some nerve issues.
Did he have some nerve?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think his body is actually meant to do that.
Do you think he would have continued into music if that didn't happen? I know it's one of those, like, would you have? You know, which we don't really should talk about.
It's funny we're talking about this now because it's something that I'm kind of coming to terms with. You know, you're constantly dealing with your past and trying to understand. Well, one shouldn't do it too much, I don't think, because then that can get you can go nutty.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, my head will flip into the past, and you try and figure out, well, if this happened, then would this have happened, or did this happen so that this could have happened? You know, you're trying to just figure yourself up. So the short answer to that is, yeah, I absolutely would have. It was my passion, and I was all over it. But I do think that
do you still feel stuff from it now?
I can still play.
So you can still play.
I can still play just for fun.
Recreation,
yeah. For shits and giggles,
that's a great. Yeah, I love shits and giggles.
Yeah, shits and or giggles, your choice, really. I'll just take the giggles, please.
Trumpet shits and giggles.
Troubles, yes.
Trumpet, not troubles.
Troubles.
That's a trumpet.
That's the nerve in my lip.
Oh, okay, you can't say the word trumpet anymore.
No.
That's why you quit, because you couldn't name your instrument.
I couldn't speak. Everyone thought I was mentally challenged. So yeah, but I do think that, you know, lots of pain happens for reasons in our lives, and that opened up a whole new chapter, which was comedy and cartoons. Because I was like, all right, this really sucks. I'm depressed out of my mind, but I'm going to do the other stuff that I want to do. Because
so that's good.
So I did that. So I started a sketch comedy troupe at McGill. So I started doing improv, and I joined a cartooning club or whatever it was. It was like we had a comic book anthology every semester. So I drew short stories for them, and it was the best.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it is true, you know, one door opens, a window opens, or I'm probably torturing that saying, but you know what I'm saying.
That's right, a trap door opens.
Right, a trap door, sometimes it can. So the comedy went well for a while, and then that was your new passion?
Yeah, I had a troupe called the Bards of Blabbermouth.
Okay.
And cool. It was two buddies and myself, and we co-wrote and co-produced everything. We were like really good energy.
Are you still close with these?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
very good.
We're super tight.
They still do comedy?
No, actually, they've both gone on to do pretty different things. My one friend, Ryan Murphy, he's out in Vancouver. He was a heavy influence on my comedy. Like, I just love the way this guy's brain works. He ended up doing stand-up comedy for a good 15 years, following when we finished our troupe. Has since gone on to. He does a lot of comedic writing now. It's just the stand-up comedy thing is a hard one to maintain when you've got a family and you got to pay the bills, and it's pretty competitive, obviously.
Yeah, it is.
And he had a really good run at it. Like, he's, you know, his name is known, right? Like, he's a guy. And then the other guy, James, is gone into graphic designing, and he's multi-talented. He's an excellent banjo player, singer-songwriter, like lots of. It's
kind of interesting to see where people head off, because some stay in the, you know, I'm going to do the same thing, and then other people just find new ways of expressing their talents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, like, is to recognize when doors close and say, you know what, that door's closed.
Yeah, it's
over, and it's good to know that you did it. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you failed at it or that you need to stop. You had to stop.
No.
You know, I think, unfortunately, a lot of people get sucked into that because we do live in a competitive society, and it's me versus you most of the time.
And some people, they give up. You know, that's one of my big fears right now, because I've been at a crossroads probably for 3 years now, and I'm just kind of like, I'm always afraid. Like, that's why I keep trying to create stuff, because I'm at that feeling where I'm almost like I'm breaking down. I'm feeling I gotta find something, because I can feel myself shutting myself out.
Right.
But this isn't about me.
No, but that's interesting. I mean, I completely relate to that.
Yeah, I think we all go through phase, but it starts getting scary when it starts going on for a year or two.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know if I can get out of it. But then I try to remember that before I did improv, I remember like talking with my partner Mike, saying, like a year before, literally saying, I need to find something.
Yeah.
And so I must have been at a crossroads then, and then within a year I found improv, and that changed my whole life. We wouldn't have probably met if...
Improv is just spectacular.
You know, I always joke whenever I have somebody here, there's usually a staircase link of how I met those people.
Yeah.
I just think I'd just be like talking to, nobody if I didn't...
I'm here today with Air. Air and I met...
And trust me, I've done podcasts from my bathroom. I'd probably do stuff like that at some point.
Hello.
Yeah, I did one. When I first got this, I decided, what can I do? And so I had the most uncomfortable bubble bath of my life.
That's the worst place to do any sort of recording.
It was fun, though. It was fun. Good acoustics.
Really? I've taken some conference calls in the bathtub, and that was wrong.
It was my bathtub is when I get relaxed, and then when I'm sitting there trying to yell, hoping that they'll hear me.
Yeah.
Because I keep forgetting this is pretty powerful, so I don't have to go, so I'm sitting here at these bubbles. And oddly, make sure the bubbles are covered up, even though it's audio.
Yeah.
That's it. So you were saying about, I like the fact that you take conference calls.
I've done that twice now, and
Did you call me from the bathtub?
I didn't.
Okay.
No. These were it's actually kind of a stupid move because, they're professional phone calls but for the longest time I was having
You're educating people.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, here's a new angle for Harrison. Things you didn't know Harrison did. Number 1.
I'm picturing you with a shower cap on. I don't know why. In the bathroom.
How did you know? Yeah,
I
exactly.
Don't know. That's awesome. I kind of have respect for you.
I thought I can double up, right? Like I can be in the bath.
It's okay as long as they don't hear you splashing.
Or farting for that matter.
Anyway, Harrison,
yeah, exactly. Harrison, did you have something to add?
That's a beautiful image now. Because you really do, I've had a couple friends who said, okay, hold on, I'm in the bathroom right now. I'm like, don't be talking to me while I don't want to know what you're doing in there.
I know, me too.
Because I have a very good imagination.
Yeah.
So, somebody's on the phone saying, I'm naked right now. I go there. I'm sorry. Yeah. I go there.
I can see that.
Yes. I'm picturing you in the bathtub now, so I've lost my train of concentration.
I made it all up. I've never done that.
And so you were cartooning all through this too when you were doing the sketch comedy and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are busy, pretty abundant creative years for me.
Yeah.
I've always thought so I went to university, music, and I stayed at university because I thought that's just what people do. You just go to university because you feel like you need to be going to university, right? You just go to university. I actually didn't really want to be there, but it was the good thing about university is it keeps you bored enough to want to do other shit, So I ended up. It was really great for it's a long answer, but yeah, it fueled my creativity, right? So I'd go to these classes that were interesting. They went on way too long. I wonder if lectures now are shorter than they are back then because people's attention spans just aren't...
I can't remember what movie or what it was, but I remember somebody coming in doing a lecture, and they just put it on a recording, and then when you looked at all the class, they all had, recorders on their tape. So nobody was in the class. It was just we'll pick them up later.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought of when you said that they're really long and boring.
Yeah, but I think that's changing now. People they get their lectures on YouTube, and they can just scan to the important bits, and they go to school to do other shit. But anyway, I liked it because I could sit in the back of the class, I could listen. It was like live, podcasting, and I would actually just draw my notes. I wouldn't take notes in the traditional sense, but I would end up with a large, like, 8.5 by 11 sheet of keywords and terminologies with little wacky cartoon characters running around that were like...
Did you take any sex education classes? Because I'd love to see the notes.
Exclusively sex education.
Everybody was borrowing your notes to see what cartoons you were drawing.
Yeah. Then they got them made into tattoos. It became a thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was really, really creative years. Really fun. And the comedy troupe did everything from, like variety shows at, comedy clubs to, we did 2 Fringe festivals, which were awesome. And then we did, like, children's performances. We wrote children's plays. And it was just, like, it was great. It was really fun to collaborate with 2 other people that were all in sync. We had as many, like, inside jokes as we did jokes that we had, on the page. And
which is great when you have a group that really clicks. It's just amazing, right? Like, sometimes you don't even have to say things and you all just get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then sometimes, you have groups that are like, so how did we get this show together? Because we were all like, you know what I mean? It works, but it's just like, that was a nightmare. Like, I started doing one-man shows because I was kind of like tired of dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I have control now. I have one person in the lighting booth, and they're cooperative.
Couldn't be exactly. Yeah, it couldn't be simpler. Well, I had said with my one-man show too is that it was a kind of a way for me to do a one-man show, but still having those 2 guys on stage with me. Yeah, I would play different characters.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
So I was there on stage alone, but with many people in my heart.
But I saw you've done 2. I might be wrong, but you did Jesters, Incognito.
Yeah.
And I always forget the name of the other one. It was the more serious one.
Yeah, Retrospeculation.
That's it. I know it was a clever name.
Retro.
Did you copyright that?
I haven't, but I need to.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I remember you gave the definition of it. What was it? Do you remember?
Retrospeculation is the act of looking at one's past so as to gain understanding of one's present situation and thereby helping you make an informed decision on your future.
So it's like all 3.
It's like all 3. So I'm retro, I'm looking at my past, and speculating so you look for like hints in your past that may help you make solid future decisions about your life.
Where'd you come up with that word?
I put together. It just popped out of my head one day. I was putting together a book for my brother, like a retrospective on his life. He was turning 40, so we gathered a bunch of old pictures for him and made one of those Apple iBooks, whatever they're called. And yeah, it just kind of, because I like making new words all the time.
That's good.
I think we're living in a pretty funny age right now where a lot of new words are popping up.
Because we're not allowed to use any of the good ones anymore.
Well, yeah.
They're banning every word.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Even innocent words are now getting like the cut.
Yeah.
Oh, do I have a story? But I shouldn't say it.
It's your show, dude. I'm here.
Okay, well, you were at the improv thing the other week.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw my reaction, but a game that I have played since the first day I was there, Pass the Freak, has apparently now been changed to Pass the Peep.
Yes, I heard that.
And that was the first time I heard it, and from the reaction of like a couple of other people in the room, that was the first time they heard it.
Yeah.
And I went into a very downward spiral because I go, are you kidding me? Like, to me, freak has always been the action.
Yeah.
As in, like, like the dance, La Freak, or, freaking out.
Yeah.
And I always like Pass the Freak. It's kind of fun, because the whole thing is action.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I go, one person complained about it. Some freak, apparently. So we can't use that word now? I'm like, I don't know if I can teach improv anymore. I'm losing my, really? That we can do poop and tit jokes on stage, but people are offended by the word Pass the Freak?
Yeah.
Is clap focus going to change? Because clap is a sexual... So anyhow, when you say it, like making new words now, because of the fact we're losing all the good old ones. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that, I guess, but yeah, I think the over political correctness kills... Yeah.
That's just me. That's a whole other topic.
Pass the Peep. Is that like a small,
I'm offended by peep, because isn't that like a ghetto slang for people? These are my people.
Yeah. What are we making fun
of
gangsters who speak with Ebonics?
Or those little yellow birds that you get at Easter?
Yeah, either one of those are pretty insulted right now.
I'm going to be offended by everything now at improv. I'm getting my freak back.
That's right.
We're going to take a small break.
Okay.
We're going to come back and talk more about your life.
Okay.
Isn't that
sounds
exciting?
Great. It is. It's extremely flattering. It's
That's
amazing.
Great. This is a retrospect of your life.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
We will be back with Harrison Wheeler, my co-host today, right after this. I am back with my co-host today, Harrison Wheeler.
Hello, 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 hello.
It is great having you here. I always like when people come over to my apartment. I used to not entertain when I was younger, but now I like it. I used to always be like, what are they going to think of my house and stuff? But people always seem like they find little things that they...
Yeah.
Because when I go to people's house, I always look for those little, nifty things that... there's a story. No, not what were you thinking?
Well, the way you were pointing there, I thought you were like, I always look for those things that are out of place. And then I say to those people, I say, hey...
No, I like, because you see things that are endearing or pictures of their family.
Exactly.
And then there's that weird object that you're like, there's either a story or there's something very endeared by it, or there isn't a story at all, and that makes it even kind of fun too.
And that's when the conversation comes to a bit of an awkward halt.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, I gotta find something else.
Well, I remember knowing this real tough guy, and I won't call him out or anything, but he always was like really gruff and stuff, and I remember we did some filming at his house, and he had like everything you'd expect from the... And then oddly, he had like about 3 or 4 Raggedy Anns and Andys.
Oh.
Remember those old dolls from like the
sure.
50s, 60s?
The ones that
and I'm just like, yeah. And I'm just like, wait a minute, you like Jesters, but Raggedy Ann and Andy freak you out? Because they're kind of clownish, or...
Well, they're just ugly little buggers, aren't they?
Anyhow, I just remember waiting for the right moment to just be like, this doesn't fit in. And I think he had some story about how it was something from his past, and it was a lovely story, but when you first see it, you're like, okay, this could either be a creepy story, or so you're not sure if you're going to go there, but I always go there eventually.
No, you need to, for sure.
I have to.
You got to find that stuff.
Yes.
I'm actually just going back to the very beginning of your description of me and wondering what the listeners are thinking. That I'm a dashing... What did you call me? Like an afternoon matinee model or something?
No, not an afternoon model. I can't go out after night. No, like when like a movie, you used to go to the old like Errol Flynn type movies, like Strong Jaw and rugged.
Right.
I'm picturing Dudley Do-Right right now when do you know who that is?
You mean with the little dog? Dudley Do-Right? Is that the guy?
The Mountie.
Oh, Dudley Do-Right. Yeah, right. Okay,
I want to know who the
I'm thinking of Dick Dastardly.
And Muttley.
And Muttley, yeah.
Oh, I'll have to show you some at the next break. Because I can't believe that just came up in our thing. But yeah, Muttley or Mumbly or
But no, but so I get the Mountie look plus a cartoon character. So I'm thinking what the audience...
Have you ever got that before?
No, it's amazing. That's
great.
Is
that a good... You weren't insulted by that?
No, I think it's hilarious.
It's like, damn, I got a whole show to do with this guy?
No, I can work with that for sure. Like, that's a compliment. But I'm just thinking, other people listening, what kind of mental image they have of me in their minds right now. This guy is...
Well, I hope I find out. And I hope that the people that know him know exactly what I'm saying when I say it.
Yeah.
Because when I first, I'll be honest, I thought, wow, this is an attractive guy. You were... bigger guy. You lost a lot of weight,
I have.
And it looks great, but, you look great bigger, too.
I look good, I've done all sizes.
Yeah.
I've been all sizes.
I always say I don't lose weight, because then I'd have everything. And I'd be too much to live with. I just don't want to lose weight.
Yeah. No,
I've tried it, and it's like,
It's not me.
So I just say, I would be hard to live with if I had a six-pack and good looks and charm. This is not about me.
No.
But anyhow, no, I get, because when you do characters, I love it because you haven't animated. You sometimes get your head bobbling and the arms going, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm totally watching Pixar animated film here. No, not Pixar, more like old style, like Steamboat Willie or something. This is getting worse and worse. You're going home to Google Dudley Do-Right to see if
I've got a mental picture, a mental image in my mind for sure. That's hilarious.
We may have to play the Dudley Do-Right theme if it's not available in Germany.
It's got to be old enough, man, in Germany.
You never know.
The Germans will not allow us to have fun with Dudley.
So, I'm glad you're not offended by that.
No. I just think it's funny.
That was what I got. I like, though, that you analyze that. That's why I like you, because we analyze things. I like that you said that you look at the world in a way, because I think my problem is I've always been like a minor conspiracy theory kind of guy, but it's always an emotional conspiracy theory. And as I'm going in this current phase I'm in right now, I'm analyzing people a little too much and myself, and that's what's scaring me off. But,
yeah.
That's too deep.
Have you seen, do you have Netflix by any chance?
No, I do not.
Well,
please recommend something.
I will recommend,
I will hunt it down.
Tony Robbins.
Okay.
There's a documentary on him right now.
I know Tony Robbins well.
Yeah, and it's
I think I've read some of his books.
Yeah, well, this particular, the jury was always out for me on him because it's almost a little bit too intense and on the self-transformation front.
Yeah, he was very aggressive. I think that was his thing.
But that is his thing, and I like that about him now. Yeah. I watched this documentary, and it was extremely engaging and really thought-provoking, and he talks about over-analysis and just how toxic that can become.
I'm there.
Yeah, so see if you can find that on YouTube.
I will look into it. And it's more about his life?
It's actually about, it's called Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru.
Sweet.
And it's
I like that he used to be your guru, and now he's not.
Yeah.
And now he's like
in
making
really small
big
letters
bucks
it says anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. So yeah, anyway, check it out.
No, that's good to know. I need any help I can get.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
That sounds like you're my therapist now.
Seriously.
I'm asking questions. Anyway, on that topic, now, I don't know if you want to dwell on this too much, but you did go through some mental health issues, and I was really... Like, when I saw your Jesters Incognito, you play different characters, but when I saw your serious one, I was shocked at the stuff that I heard you went through.
Yeah.
And amazed that you were actually there to tell the story.
I'm lucky to be alive, man.
I can't... How did that all start when you realized you were dealing with mental health issues? I guess you don't really it doesn't click one day and say...
No, but this is part of the whole retrospeculation thing. That's why I feel it's so important. That's just kind of one of my mantras when I go and I do a lot of public speaking in schools now and workplace things. I do kind of mental health in the workplace, these kinds of talks. I just talk about how important it is to keep a journal of your life, because then you've got proof or like little breadcrumbs of things that have happened to you that you can go back and revisit, because if typically, as most humans do, we forget.
Absolutely.
And we make decisions over and over again that may or may not be helping or hindering ourselves. So how did it happen?
When did you start journaling first?
For some reason in early high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So since I'm about 15 or so, I guess, that went along with the drawing. So I would end up like cartooning and just like writing ideas and writing thoughts, and then also...
And you'd have some cartoons in there as well?
So it became what I could call it creative journaling. So it's just kind of a mixed bag. And then I would do some scrapbooking in there too. So I mean, I was 24 when I was actually, I've heard, had first diagnosed with bipolar. But I think that I had been manic leading up to that for years, and when Trumpet fell through, and this is the piece that I'm only kind of putting together in the last 3 or 4 years, I really got depressed inside, but I never dealt with it. And there's a tie-in there to the Tony Robbins talk too. It's like we look at early trauma as to why things may have fallen apart, etc.
Yeah.
So, I kind of put Band-Aids on it with comedy and cartoons and kept the smiles going, and
which is what most people do.
A lot of people do.
Throw themselves into their work or their art or whatever's in their life.
Yeah.
Their addictions, whatever it is.
Exactly, yeah. So then...
Sorry, my leg's cramping up, so I'm trying to find... Okay. So don't think I'm doing the Kama Sutra when you're talking about a serious Yeah, I'm serious. Like, okay, I've been in 3 different positions since he started this. Okay.
Devlin is now a pretzel on the floor, rolling around.
I might be stuck like this. Sorry, serious topic, and here I am, like, doing the Kama Sutra.
Yeah, well, you talk about the stuff enough that it doesn't... I feel like I don't emotionally own it anymore. And not that it's become a story that's detached from me, but it's something I can totally talk about it, you know.
And because you're talking about it in, like, schools and other places now, you're helping people.
Yeah, that's the point.
Or
right?
it might be going through something and thinking, I'm alone. And they're realizing, wow, other people are, and you're brave enough to bring that up.
Yeah, yeah.
But you were in hospitals.
And... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, the old hospital. Mental hospitals. I tell you, I highly recommend them, actually.
Are they as wonderful as they look?
They are. I mean, I like to call them my brain spa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go back anytime soon.
No, no, actually, I joke with my wife all the time that I actually, because I've almost spent 2 years of my entire life in a hospital. Yeah. And I kind of have developed, what's that called? What's that prisoner syndrome people have?
Stockholm?
Stockholm syndrome, yeah. But with hospitals. You know.
So more like the Florence Nightingale syndrome.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's right. Maybe that's the more accurate way
Isn't that the nurse that people fall for because they're taken care of?
That's right, the Florence Nightingale. Hopefully not the Nurse Ratched.
That's Definitely not. No. No, but that's understandable, I think, because you're used to it, right?
I feel comfort there. I feel cared for. I think it's a very calming environment, to be honest.
So it wasn't all bad. Like felt you were getting help there?
Oh yeah, hospitals are a very good place. They're the place you need to go if you're not feeling well, for sure. So nothing to be afraid of, and amazing people that are just beautiful and want to help you. And that's like, yeah, I have so much admiration for anybody working in healthcare. I do not know how they do it. I have...
No, it's not an unthankful job. Like, you're just doing what you're supposed to do, but it's like you probably see so much people working against you, and you're just trying to help them. And
totally, yeah. So yeah, I've been in hospitals. I've been in hospitals when I was manic. I've been in hospitals when I was depressed. I've been in hospitals when I was painfully addicted to drugs. I've done a lot of drugs.
I don't want to get too personal, but were you violent? Were you suicidal? Were you harmful to yourself, harmful to others?
Never violent, no. I'm harmful to myself, yeah. I've attempted suicide a couple times, and I'm, I feel like that's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And it's, it's kind of a rite of passage, I think, for a lot of people who are...
Well... Most people either have thought about it, tried it, or know somebody close to them that's like, I've never met anyone who doesn't have one of those 3 things. Like, I've talked about my trials, and nothing compared to yours. I'm certainly not trying to say my story is better than yours, because no. But I've had my suicidal moments, and I remember talking about them, and they're difficult, but I've had more feedback on those episodes than when I'm talking about, like, hey, I love Charlie's Angels, just because people are like, hey, they were hard to listen to, but I was there with you, and I've been through that, and it's nice to hear.
It's funny because the thoughts of suicide usually follow me thinking about Charlie's Angels.
Really?
So, yeah. So I try not to think of Charlie's Angels.
And I was going to ask you to stay and watch Charlie's Angels with me. That's not happening.
Whew, dodge that bullet.
Yeah, I don't want you to be reading there was a relapse because of Charlie's Angels. Exactly.
What brought it on, Harrison? It was Bill Murray in that remake. It was terrible.
Oh, the remake? I know. I got the original quality stuff.
We're not messing around here.
But I know sometimes the hardest journeys are. I feel like Oprah when I talk about journeys, but as I get older, I feel you can use that word. When I was younger, I'd be like, oh, did I really just use journey?
Journeys and navigating.
Navigating. I don't use that too often. Maybe I should start. Is that a better word?
No, it's not good anymore.
Have you ever used the word journey? This is my journey.
Totally. I'm done there, man. I gotta,
Well, what else could you call it? This is my
roller coaster
adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my roller coaster. That's good.
Yeah.
That seems to fit with
Let me tell you about my roller coaster.
Yeah. Now, I remember you said your cartooning, you could see it in your cartoonistry, that when you were in a really dark place, the cartoons would actually change shape and stuff.
Yeah.
Did they ever talk to you? Or is that just a weird question?
No, it's not a weird question at all. I would talk to them.
Okay.
And, I mean, a pretty unique relationship with some of my art. Yeah, for sure. I would say that I've, not in the literal sense actually spoken, but I've had, pretty in-depth conversations with my art. Like what it means to me, etc. Yeah, and that's that's the real power of visual art and music, and I mean really, but I can only really speak to the visual art because I maintained that as I was, convalescing from bipolar and addictions. That it's an imprint on the page of how you're feeling at that particular point in time, and I found that I didn't really realize what I was feeling until afterwards, when I would go back to that drawing and be like, whoa, you can see it in the eyes that I drew in that guy's face. Or I would draw, sometimes I would fill 2 pages at once with just abstract black and white art.
Yeah. I liked in the one show you actually showed the differences and this is a particularly dark time and it was interesting to just see the visuals of how you'd see like some kind of fun-loving character and then the character took on like darker tones and just even subtle things that you probably saw more than like. But I remember seeing some of the art saying, okay, it looks like the same drawer, but it's almost like it could be 2 different artists in some ways.
Yeah. Definitely mood-based for sure.
Yeah, did you know what was going on inside of you when you were diagnosed? Like, did you know it was going to be that severe? Because those are pretty, heavy, manic depressive, bipolar. Those are pretty heavy terms nowadays.
So it was like, I think it was, post-trumpet, growing depression that I was trying to mask with comedy and fun. And that ran out, and I reached for pot, started smoking pot in a big way, and I loved it. Love marijuana.
I'm making that a soundbite.
Exactly.
I loved it.
That's right.
Sorry. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Did you get lost with it?
Yeah. So, I mean, being an addict and being manic and being kind of a perfectionist and just, never knowing when to stop, it went from like casual on the weekend to multiple during the day.
Yeah.
And that really screwed with my head. Here's an interesting fact. Just learned that 49% of people who smoke pot will have a psychotic episode.
Really?
Yeah.
That's high. That's
almost
half. Yeah.
And so
that's almost like, I bet you it was half, but they decided to knock one off just to make people feel they're going to be that 1% that's going to...
We don't want to give them the entire vote.
You don't want a 50-50.
We want this whole medical marijuana thing to fucking go through already.
I know we shouldn't be making fun of that.
No, we should be. That's exactly how shit gets...
That's awesome. That's a great look at it. Because to me, when I hear 49, why didn't you just bump it up to 50? 50%. Let's give a 50-50-50 chance.
Yeah, exactly.
50-50-50 chance, I actually said. I'm into 150.
Yeah. That's how much of a perfectionist you are.
Apparently I am. I've never smoked pot.
No.
I'm thinking of starting.
Yeah.
I always joke when I turn 50, I'm going to become a hardcore alcoholic. Maybe cocaine. Maybe start the hard stuff. I figure all the good years are gone.
There are 3 meals in the day, so you can just spread it out, right? Don't do it all at once. Well, it's funny you say that because people ask me now to weigh in on. The legalization of marijuana, which that's a hard one to get your head around. I honestly think that it's a really good thing. Ultimately, I think that legalization is a very good thing.
There's a lot of people who use it for medical purposes.
I think that it's a really awesome social drug. I think there's nothing social. Even to use the word drug has such a heavy weight to it. But in the same way, you get together with friends, for drinks. What's the difference of and people are doing it anyway.
Right. So alcohol is much dangerous in a lot of ways. Hit and runs, drinking and driving.
But there's a massive education piece that I don't feel like is in place based on the 49% stat that I just gave you, that people like me are susceptible to marijuana. Like I've got a lot of food allergies. This is something else that's come out of my whole journey. which is awesome.
Got you using your Journey now.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
You totally use Journey.
Which is...
and it's going to be like forever immortalized on YouTube and iTunes.
Well, no, not really, because Journey is the name of my roller coaster.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Spelled with 3 E's and an I.
I'm going to just think it's the group from the 80s.
Journey!
Don't stop believing, Harry.
That's right.
God. This is why we don't go and do hospital tours, because I'd just be making quips while he's trying to get the things back.
That's what we would be called, riff and quip.
Sounds like an old vaudeville
That sounds too much like quiff. So
yeah, queef.
Queef or whatever the hell it's called, But anyway, long story short, then Pop took over, and then I was diagnosed with bipolar, and then it was like a 10-year roller coaster of trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And I kept going back to pot. I would get better, I'd get on my meds, I'd hate my meds because they made me feel numb, so then I'd go to back to pot, and
would they keep changing your meds till they got it right? Or
I tried, you name it, I've done it, man, for sure. So and then so it wasn't easy. It took a lot of painful what's the word, just painful trial and errors, and really difficult in my relationships with my family, and having romantic relationships and all that kind of stuff too, not to mention what the hell am I doing with my life?
So there must have been days that you literally did not know if this was going to be your last day, or
there were definitely I've spent months not doing, just months in depression.
You one thing in your own one-man choice offer, you had a family that supported you and stayed with you. That helped a lot too, right?
Massive. Yeah, you need a network, whether that's family or otherwise.
Because even in the small bouts of depression I've had, it's amazing the people who will abandon you because they don't know how to deal with that.
Well, again, that's
shocking how the people that actually reach out to you, I have really learned, the people I barely knew were reaching out to me, and people I've known all my life were we'll call me when you're in a better mood. They'll only when you're doing great. You know what I mean? Fair weather friends, right?
Yeah.
The ones that if you're laughing and joking, they'll be right there laughing and joking. But as soon as you shed one tear, see ya.
No, I've got.
So that was awesome.
I lost quite a few friends too during this whole thing, and that was very. Yeah, it's just a life lesson, right?
And it doesn't help because you're dealing with all this stuff, and then these people are like, okay.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because the friends that you had when you were in really good spirits and laughing, and you thought, oh wow, we're really bonding.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you have such high regard for and emotional connection to.
And it's shocking
and then they split,
when they
and
don't.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I'll just stay miserable over here.
As I said, when I was going through this, and maybe I'm a little too vocal on social media, but I am an attention whore sometimes. Sometimes I just feel like I'm crying out, and then I'm as I said, people that I barely knew were reaching out to me, and I made bonds with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Because they even just little things. Well, I remember when I was going through a bad time, you'd write me little notes, and that was lovely. And so why would I abandon you? And as I said, I've had family members that don't even acknowledge I'm around that when I was going through this.
No, man, that's rough. Yeah, that's not cool.
So I think it's awesome that you had a strong
really
family.
Strong family. They've dropped what they're doing to help me out many occasions.
Yeah.
So I don't like the word indebted, but I just feel so close to them, and I just treasure our relationship a lot more, and I love that I have a presence in their life and can do the same for them now,
And you're doing well now?
I'm doing very well. It's been 10 years since I had my last hospital stay.
Which is great.
I'm clean now for 10 years, which is pretty crazy. Sometimes when I think about where I was.
What does clean mean when you're saying?
I don't smoke. I don't do drugs or
alcohol.
or
anything like that. Okay, yeah. Just when you said that, I didn't know if that meant prescription or.
Yeah, what I meant by that is that prior to 10 years plus, I never bathed. So now I'm clean. I've been clean for 10 years.
See how engrossed I am, and then I don't realize you're joking?
That's right. Now I'm getting back to our bathtub conversation earlier.
Yeah,
I only hang out in
exactly.
the bathtub. My house
And
is
you
a bathtub.
smell amazing when
Yeah.
I smell you.
Yeah, I got a kitchen
Not
in the
that I
bathtub.
smell you on a regular basis, but
No.
I do try to take a sniff once in a while.
Take a whiff. Take a whiff of the wheeler.
A whiff of the wheeler. That's got to be something, a show or a song or
Product.
a poem or a
Product.
whiff. That's your secret thing. You want to have your own cologne.
That's right.
You know, Jesters, whiff of the wheeler.
Are you feeling down? Do you need a little bit of chutzpah before you go to work? Take a whiff of the wheeler.
I like it.
It could be like a little aerosol spray can or something.
See, when he does that voice out there in Radio Land, does he not sound like a matinee movie star?
Who's like got the body of Roger Rabbit? Because when you said cartoon mashup, that's what I thought of. I was like,
I just thought about it. Knowing my producer, Corda, she is totally going to probably find a picture of Dudley Do-Right when that comes up now.
amazing.
Check it out. She does some really funny things.
Does she? Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking, I shouldn't bring this up, we talk about it way too much, but she put a picture up there that made me laugh one time, and nobody else noticed it, so I just said, I'd go with it. Because she said, is this too offensive? Because I was talking about media or something, and we had the most sappiest Anne Murray song, A Little Good News, but she actually found a picture of Hitler reading. And he looked so content.
Really?
And when she showed it to me, I just laughed my ass off. And I said, yeah, go with it. And nobody noticed. And I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Jen.
Yeah.
And she was saying that she used Hitler once in a promotional thing and got so much flack. Hitler is still only funny to certain people.
Yeah.
So.
Gee, and I wonder who those people are. I wonder.
I giggle.
Yeah.
I giggle.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and then when I come back, I want to talk to you about Jesters, because you love Jesters. It's become your thing.
Ooh.
And I would love to know more of the origin.
Yeah.
Even
I'd
though
love to talk about that. I can talk about them all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you dress like them periodically.
I do indeed.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we come back.
Lovely.
And we are back, and I'm here with my co-host, Harrison Wheeler, having a great old time.
We are.
And now, before we get into finding out about your love of Jesters, this has become your thing.
It has.
If anybody knows a little, I guess we should talk a little bit about you've written a book called Jesters, Incognito.
I have, indeed.
And was the play first? The book was first.
Book came first.
And
Actually, there was a short. I mentioned earlier that I had drawn comics for a comic book run at McGill University.
Yes.
So my first two short stories was about Jesters, and it was kind of like an early iteration of this. So that was the very first thing I did. That was in like 95, 96 maybe.
And then when did it become a full book?
2013.
What now I've always been curious. Is it a story or is it because when I see your play, I'm like, I have no clue what this book is. That's I'm not a big reader, but I'll be honest with you, that's probably the thing that'll make me like, I gotta find out what this is.
What the hell? Yeah, exactly.
Because I've heard people tell me it's amazing. Like I remember one of my friends saying it really opened his eyes to a lot of things.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Why don't you give you a little explanation of what it is?
Sure. Okay. Well, the book Jesters Incognito is a book about a futuristic society in a semi off-kilter universe to our own. It's not, a different world or anything, but it's like a slightly off-kilter kind of Tim Burton-y place.
Like a parallel universe?
Parallel universe, where all media and all technology is owned and controlled by one mega corporation. Mogul Media.
This could be the future as well.
Well, I think every time I tell them that beginning of the logline, people roll their eyes and be like, yeah, you mean like right now? Like with like Fox News and like
Disney.
CNN and Disney and Apple. I mean,
there are some big companies out there that own a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you get criticized. A lot of the big social media conglomerates are kind of along that same line, right? So all media is controlled by this one mega corporation, and they've got this rule that says it's called the law of the green light, which states that anybody who wants to make anything or be creative in any way has to do so with them, and if they don't, they will be killed. Kind of a bummer.
But very intense.
Very intense. So yeah, kind of like anyway.
So art's going to be controlled.
Art is controlled. Expression is controlled. And so the main character's name is Vincent Meistersinger, and he is a cab driver, a young cab driver. He doesn't like this very much. He came to this city to be an artist and feels repressed. So he decides to start an underground group of artists and entertainers who will basically become renegade, entertainers, renegade jesters. They call themselves the Jesters Incognito.
That's an awesome idea.
Thanks, man.
I really like that.
Yeah.
You're going to make me read that book,
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's an incentive. The chapters are very short.
This is selling me already.
They're like 6 pages each. You can squeeze one
like an Archie Digest?
Yeah, exactly. Someone described it to me, and I thought it was actually a pretty good description. I wouldn't have used this myself, but it's like reading a comic book. The language is really accessible. It's
you don't use big words.
I don't use big words. Well, there's a couple in there maybe, but I apologize in advance. And it's kind of like panels, right? You're almost like reading sequential.
That's kind of neat. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd make a good comic book?
Oh yeah, that's one of my future plans is to turn that into a.
Did you tell me that, or am I?
You may have just hit that on the nail.
Did you mention that in a show or something?
Maybe I might have. I can't remember.
Because when you described it like that, I said, "How come this hasn't happened yet? You draw and you."
Yeah, I know. Well, I initially wanted to write it as a screenplay, and I did try to do that. And it's very hard to do when I wasn't sure entirely of what the story, where it was going to go.
Now, you did a little trailer for it that you can see on... Is that on YouTube?
You can see it on Vimeo.
Vimeo, okay.
Yeah, so that's a slightly different project, but it's in the same world.
And what's that project going to be?
So,
I like that you have all these in time.
Well, that's
like, you got
cool.
merchandise planned. And
I've said too much. I gotta go!
No, I think it's great that you're building like this whole world.
Yeah, it feels like that, and it feels natural to do that. I don't feel like I'm forcing it. I'm kind of just taking my time with it and playing with it. But yeah, there very well could be a web series that could come out of it.
That's what that was. The trailer was for
the trailer was for the web series, and that asked the question.
Because I loved the trailer. I thought it was really interesting and intriguing. And
yeah, thanks.
Sucked me in, even the short period of time it was. I was like, this looks cool. It was very well done.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so it was the idea there is that how would people react to being jested by these strange people, and how might that change them? So it was basically telling the story, but from an outsider's point of view. And then since the book was written, I did the one-man show, which I actually did 2 versions of, and that was a really interesting process because it merged the novel, the plot of the novel. Yeah, I remember you played various characters. Yeah, so I was various characters from the novel that basically told the story. In that, what's that game we play at Improv? The swamp game. What's that one called? Where we're all at a swamp. A swamp? You know how we have 3 players on stage? Like the lake, what's that? Goon River. Goon River. Goon River. Okay, yeah. So I kind of took that idea. Now that you say it, yeah. Yeah. Where one character comes out and the second one comes out. Yeah. So it's a very awesome stage play. It's mind blowing for anybody who has absolutely no clue at what this is. Yeah. Because I remember going into it I have no clue what this is. Yeah. And did I actually tell you that? You used the sound effect because every time you went to, because you go back, I should explain, you probably could explain it, but you did live stuff. Then you went to clips from your cartoons and statistics and told about your life. So I told my personal journey. Your personal what was happening while I was. Oh, God damn it! I apologize. Your roller coaster has been taken. There's got to be some penalty for this. You got to hit me over the head or I think the penalty is that I put this in your head. You should be angry at me. It's not the other way around. I don't mind you using Journey, but I've just noticed I've got you twice now. I'm gonna go home and YouTube Journey and just keep playing Journey all night. When the comic Jesters Journey comes out, you'll be really. Hey, that's good. I'm gonna write that down now.
So you talk about your personal life as well in the cartoons, like this anime.
Video,
audio visual.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the idea was that I wanted to tell the audience what I was going through while I was writing this book, or while I was dreaming of this universe.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, because that's what really kept me going, man, was this weird world, these ideas that I kept having that were turning around in my head while I was in the hospital, while I was working dead-end jobs and like smoking too much pot and, not being able to function in society.
And that really made it powerful because here we are in this really crazy futuristic world, and then we'd see like what you were going through.
Yeah.
And then just as we were like, oh, we feel sorry for him, you'd come out like dressed as a woman, or had big characters. Like they were always really over the top.
Yeah.
And then we were back laughing again, which seems like your way of thinking, like, let's not feel too bad. Let's have some levity about it.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
if you're not laughing, you're going to be just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention, even like when you did the serious one, there was some levity in that even.
Yeah.
Because you have to, because...
That's just the way I communicate,
An hour of just talking about,
anyway,
you're like, everybody's like, me being a hypochondriac, I was like diagnosing myself after I left. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, I was mindful of that. I didn't want to trigger anyone, right? So... But anyway, yeah, that's so it was the book, it was the show, and the show then became a little bit more cinematic the second time I did it because I had the opportunity to go into a film set, and I don't know if you saw the second iteration of my show.
I might not have. I saw the first one at the Fringe.
Yeah, so and so the second one was at the next Fringe, and I
was even more theatrical.
I feel like it was better. Without sounding,
No, sound like it. It was amazing. I liked the version I saw.
Yeah.
I think I liked the serious one more, but that was just because that was more you.
Yeah, just
educating more. But I liked the big characters you make, and that was fun because I felt that you really got lost in your characters.
Yeah, they're fun.
But what I was trying to say is you use some kind of musical thing before you'd go to, like, when you do your live person, and then you'd go to the audio. There was always a noise or a sound effect in the first.
Oh yeah, it was like almost like a thunderclap or some lightning
or something,
or like an electrical storm.
Whenever that came, it just made every hair on my body stand up. And it was just like, I was almost like, and it was effective. Don't get me wrong, I'd not have changed it, but I literally was like, he's been on stage a long time, I know it's coming. And I wanted to see more of that, but that noise just drove me like...
Oh my God.
I was like crazy. Is that wrong?
No, that's fine. You gotta own that.
Yeah. But I loved it. I wouldn't have changed it because I liked that building, like here I'm watching you, but there's something in the back of my head telling me it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. and then it was like I just remember it was so fresh in my head a couple of days even after, and it was just wow. If I heard it again, if you find it, send it to me.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's it.
Well, you can watch the entire show on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I have it posted. I had it filmed last year.
Do you mind if we put a link to it?
Not at all. No, I'd be happy if you did. For sure. Yeah.
Corda loves extra work, and that'd be a good way to promote it.
Sure.
I might have to watch that. Is this the theatrical one?
This is the theatrical Jesters Incognito, and it's the second version, so it's got photography in it and different characters now. So.
Will it have that noise in it, maybe?
The noise is in there.
Okay, I'm going to see if it's in there. I'll know instantly, because it was just... I remember when I was watching the show, I'm like, what is that noise? I need to find out what that noise is, because it was just like...
I worked with a really great, composer for the show, and he and I went to high school together, and he's just got so many great toys on his computer there, and we were able to find... It was one of those things that I said, this drives me crazy, but it also, I wouldn't want it any other way, because I think with a show like that, I think being a little on edge didn't hurt. Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I was in that world because I'm just like every time they ring that bell or whatever, it just makes you like, oh shit, here they come.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be educated, you know, because this is your journey now.
Yeah.
Your roller coaster.
Yeah.
Now you love a Jester, so I wanted to talk about it because we kind of build it, and if I didn't get to it, I'd hear from the 17 people that listen to this like, you said he was going to talk about Jesters. Where did this come from? Because I love that you have, I wish I thought of that.
Right.
Having something that is like a symbol of you. Like, because I just use my name.
Right. What can I use?
Yeah, I know. I just throw Devlin on it. Yeah. Everything I've done that's my own has just been Devlin on the front of it.
Well, here's a little, not to sidetrack from the original question, but your name, your last name, is in my book.
Is it?
It is. It was there before I met you.
Okay.
But
I would have really read it if you told me. Oh.
Yeah, it was all about you. But I think you'll get a kick out of that anyway.
Oh, sweet.
I think you've got an awesome last name. Devlin is a very kick-ass character name.
Very cool.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's not my real name.
Oh.
It was my artist birth name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my name's Donald.
No, your first name is.
Yes.
Or your last name.
Bishop.
So your full name?
My name's Donald Bishop.
Oh, I see, okay.
But when I perform, I'm Devlin Bishop.
I see, okay.
I've blown people's minds, but seriously. Most people know that.
Yeah, no, I think I knew that, actually.
Yeah, you probably did.
I did know that, yeah.
But it's my dad's name. And no, what am I talking about? My dad's name is not that. My middle name is my dad's name, Stanley.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but I wanted something punchier.
Yeah, Devlin's good.
When I did poetry reading, I wanted something punchier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Devlin Bishop sounds nice. And then what's funny is when we'll get to the Jesters, I swear. But what's funny is when I decided to take improv, I decided, let's just use Devlin. Not knowing I'd be there for 15 years. Suddenly it was like, oh, I have two now alter egos. Well, and it's weird when because I've had people at the staircase saying, oh, can I call you Donald? No. When I'm here, I'm Devlin, okay?
Yeah.
But it gets a little weird when your nephews and nieces are like, do we have to call you Devlin when you're at the show? And I go, no. I don't force anyone. If you knew me pre-Devlin, you have but if you know me as Devlin, right. I introduce myself as Devlin sometimes. Yeah. So.
Well, similarly, my name isn't Harrison.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I have to say, when I met you, I thought that was the coolest name. Not only are you this matinee, okay, we won't get into the Dudley Do Right and stuff again, but you had this awesome name. What's your real name?
Harry.
But the Harrison wasn't the long form?
No, the Harrison is the nickname. That's stuck.
Really?
I had a girlfriend in, first year or something like that, early university, that said, you're not Harry. You're Harrison. You look like a Harrison to me. And I was like, yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then it just morphed. So the only people...
on your birth certificate is
Harry Wheeler.
Really?
Harry Wheeler, yeah. So
Harrison's awesome.
Yeah, well...
I'm not saying Harry isn't either. I hear a couple of friends of ours calling you Harry, and I like calling you Harrison because it's hotter.
I accept It is.
And I also met you as Harrison.
No, let's be honest. I mean, but Harry and Donald are two pretty antiquated names. Like, this is like 1940s.
So if we do a show together, we'd drop in
Donald and Harry.
Johnny and Harry. Here we go. Yeah.
Hey, Donald. What? What, Harry?
I can so see
That's the sugar. That. I don't have the sugar.
I like
Well, where'd you put it? Where did you put it? Donald? How many times do I have to tell you? Sugar ain't good for you. Don't start with that, Harry.
I'm loving this. This is awesome. We'll just strip it down. We're just going old school.
1940s.
Yeah, we'll go.
Donald.
We're bringing it. Yeah, I know. People will be like, this? Really? There is a reason why it died.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, though.
Yeah, me too.
This is inappropriate, but if I could do blackface again.
Oh, hello. Again?
Again! As in, like when I see it in old movies.
Like last week. You remember. Yeah.
If I could do, didn't you know my earlier career? I did the Devlin Minstrel Show. A lot of people think I started with the Devlin Show.
That's right.
But I did that whole minstrel thing, and then somebody said, "This is wrong.
This is wrong." It's too close to Jesters. Minstrels and Jesters. You might want.
No, I can't use that as my logo.
No.
Okay, Jesters.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing it around again.
Oh, I thought you were doing that on purpose.
Yeah, that's the kind of interviewer I am. So, where was this love of Jesters? And as I said, I think I remember it from the show, but please tell our audience who are on the edge of their seat.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all just like chomping at the bit here, but
because I keep railroading it. It's
exactly.
Like become a big thing.
Actually, before we get, no, I'm not going to do that. I'd like to
That'd be a damn good story now, they're saying.
I'd like to talk about toast. No. So, yeah, when I was about 10, maybe even a little younger, my mom came home from a craft fair. She was an artist. She's a visual artist, and she had traded one of her pieces for this life-size Jester doll that was about as big as me at the time.
Sweet.
And it was freaky as all hell. It was scary.
Did she just like it?
She just loved it. She just thought, this is amazing craftsmanship. Beautiful purple motley that it's wearing. That's what you call Jester's clothes, is motley.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And yeah, exactly. And feather in the hair. And the striking feature of the Jester were his eyes. He had these inlaid marble eyes.
Okay, yeah.
That made him look so lifelike.
I know. They used to really pay attention to that and make them.
Yeah.
Like they're like following you.
Yeah, exactly. It's and I've got an incredibly active imagination, especially as a kid. So I would just make up this story of this guy, right?
I don't want to sidewind you again, but I also like the fact that your mother went to like an arts fair and like you tried to make money there, but you wind up trading with somebody else.
Nothing's changed.
I know.
Right?
I just think it's look what I made.
30 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
No dinner tonight, but we got this Jester.
My dad's like, so, honey, let's talk about your art. Let's talk about that pursuit for a moment. I mean, I realize it's bringing you joy and everything, but it's not bringing me any steak.
I know. Yeah. I always say to like, I want to make jewelry, but I also like buying toys and food.
Yeah, I also like eating.
Yeah. Okay, so she brought this home.
So she brought it home. It lived on top of the little stand-up piano that we had in the living room.
So he's always there.
He's always there.
Did he have a name?
We called him Jester.
Okay,
which is extremely creative.
Yeah.
And
did she have a dog named Dog too?
Exactly. Jester sat on the piano that was called Piano. Next to the dog, it was called Dog.
I like that his name was Jester.
It sounded like a name to me.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mm-hmm. And I changed that in the book. Like, he's in the book.
Okay.
And I called him Chester. And I've only recently just received Chester as my own now. My parents finally gifted it to me. Or
I was going to ask you where he is because of the fact that it would have been sad if
he's on my piano now. So.
Does it really?
Yeah, and he suits it. He looks good. Nice. He's pretty happy.
So when did you bond with him? Because you sounded like you might have been a little terrified of him.
Yeah, initially my brother used to try to freak me out about it and be like, "Oh, he's coming to get you," blah blah blah. And I realized that it was freaking me out, and I needed to make friends with this guy because I was in that room for hours at a time, either drawing or playing piano or playing trumpet or doing homework, and he was always there kind of looking at me. So he essentially was burned into my brain as this like archetype. Right?
Almost like another child in the house.
Yeah.
Well, you said it was almost your size when he first came.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to think, right? Like, that was like probably 9 years old to 19. So that's like...
It's like some foster child that... I gotta make peace with this kid.
Did you hear about Harry and Celeste? They actually adopted. Really? What did they adopt? An inanimate Jester doll. They're very excited.
As long as it doesn't, like, come to your house a couple times and it's wearing different clothes, I won't question it.
They're going to have a Jester shower. We are accepting gifts.
I love that you felt you had to befriend it because this is in your life now.
Yeah, and I really bonded. And then when I went to university, I just gravitated towards old literature, and I took a lot of like, old English literature classes, short stories, that had representation of trickster mythology. I took a bunch of mythology classes and loved the whole.
Jesters are mentioned in there.
And jesters are a trickster, a form of a trickster. So, it just nurtured and kind of grew inside me, and I just loved the way.
And you collect jesters, do you?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
Like,
I
have you
don't go seeking them. In the last 5 or 6 years, they've kind of found me. You know.
See, what I love is when I actually see a jester, I do think of you.
That's cool.
Because it's just because I think, oh, I know somebody who likes jesters and stuff. And
yeah, and they've got such a rich history, right? Like, we went to a Shakespeare play last night, and almost every Shakespeare play has a jester in it, right? And they play such an important part in the telling of his stories. And the fact that they actually existed once upon a time also kind of blows my mind. Like, there were people who identified as a jester. They are either a street jester on the street and lived kind of a vagabond life as an artist that didn't agree or couldn't live with society the way it was. And then they kind of got normalized and became entertainers for the king. And the really interesting I'm doing a lot of research now on, creativity and mental health and jesters and how all this works in. But, a lot of people, we're talking like 14th century kind of England right now, viewed jesters as mad. They thought they were crazy. They just didn't make any sense. And to control them or to kind of keep them from becoming kind of a societal menace, or at least just an annoyance at least, they would do one of two things. They would either have them lobotomized and or put into an institution. And so my thinking now is that the jesters were never mad. They were mad to other people.
Yeah.
But in fact, they were just outrageously creative. And their brains didn't work the same way that, quote unquote, normal people's brains do. And that hasn't changed. It hasn't changed.
What you described to me there, first of all, when you talk about the history of jesters, reminds me a lot of your story, so it really makes sense.
It does,
you said, they're street people, and when you said that they're almost like a rebellious group, except for the ones that do work for the, king and stuff like
those
that.
Those are the ones that are like, I would compare it now to today's, to today's comedians, to today's stand-up comedians. And a lot of comedic artists. Not all jesters were comedic. A lot of them were just pure like musicians and minstrels and things. Yeah. But the ones that were normalized and could perform kind of for money were the ones that could kind of like walk that line a little bit better. Yeah. Of being either, just consumed by their art and being a little bit more sensible and being able to kind of understand that it's a tool that they can use for their benefit in society as well, right?
Well, as I've met a lot of comedians and stand-up comedians, I realize that, how do I say this without offending a lot of people I know? They are the complex ones. Like I find there's a lot of truths to why a lot of comedians do well with dramatic performances, like Jim Carrey or Robin Williams or stuff, because of the fact that I think because some of them are just so out there and, this is me and I have to entertain you, that I think there's a lot of heartbreak that they've dealt with, or that's, do you know what I mean? When I meet people that are always on.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean.
And then you almost see there's a darkness inside of them. And I've always saw that. Even in stand-up people I know, I can see sometimes the bitterness that they hide. Yeah. Like, they don't want you to see that, so they almost, are so in your face.
Sure, yeah.
And that's what, just when you say jesters, it sounds like... Yeah. And that also means, in some ways, they have a grasp of reality at the same time not having a grasp of reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so many of the stand-up comedians that I know, and a lot of the ones that I love, are, diagnosed. Or should be diagnosed, or need to seek treatment. And a lot of the ones are so insightful as to the nature of reality, and how much of a farce it is.
Well, when you tell jokes, you're finding the essence of that. You're finding the humor
and you're exposing
in a lot
the
of
truth.
Stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You have to analyze stuff. So obviously, you're deep down inside. You're analyzing yourself as well.
Well, and that's exactly what's going to be my next point. It's like they're what you say with Jim Carrey and those guys, they're pushing themselves out because it's a coping mechanism. Not only are they frustrated society at large for not being happier in a more beautiful place that they could feel like they could identify with, but they're also just dealing with an emptiness inside.
Yeah.
There's a great, that podcast that Jerry Seinfeld has, comedians.
Yeah, in the cars. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
You should watch the one with Jim Carrey in it.
Oh.
Because what a fascinating man he is, man. I have so much love for that guy. So much love for Jim Carrey. You can just tell he's a complex person. Oh, and he's just so genuine, and he has worked his ass off not to fall into that same trap as so many other comedians who are of the same caliber.
Yeah.
People would argue that there is no one of his caliber, but falling into drugs or falling into messy relationships or falling into blah blah blah. Yeah. He's really gone inside. He's worked on mindfulness. He's worked on meditation, and he's a really deep, and he can snap out of it in a second. But he realizes that self-care, which had everything to do with mental health, is paramount for him not going crazy. Yeah. And him not, having a premature death or being able to do his art, right? Yeah. I feel like I'm on a similar, roller coaster as he is. See what I did
there? Love
Yeah, see a little...
I just got the most beautiful smile because he realized he didn't say journey.
Yeah, don't say it. Don't,
yeah, that was awesome because he knew he was avoiding it like the plague.
I think I'll never say that word again. It's dead to me. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the Jester is absolutely my archetype. It's my emblem, my moniker. I completely identify with it. I feel like I sit on the outside of society and watch it, and I'm okay with that. For a long time, I would, chastise myself, or whatever the word is, because I want to be more into life and I want to feel more. But you know what? This is the way I'm built. I can engage to the level that I can engage, but I'm not going to try and pretend to be anyone other than who I am. And I think that dissonance that I was feeling for a long time, because I was a teacher for 10 years, and I was trying to be someone who I wasn't. And I know, like, every artist on earth can identify with that statement.
I went through my whole 20s were basically me being what everybody else wanted me to be.
Yeah, or what everybody else wanted you to be.
Right, absolutely.
So it's actually mostly for me, I can say, it was just a construct in my own mind, right? Like my parents were super supportive of everything I did, and yet sometimes I would think to myself, no, they wanted me to be a teacher. No, they didn't. They suggested it.
You get into your own head and stuff.
And so their suggestion would sound like, oh, well, maybe that means that I should, right? And so there's so much psychology involved there. But I say, screw that. I say, down with that. Do what you want to do, You find your archetype and live it,
I agree with that. I totally believe it. It took me a long time to find it. I've lost it for a little bit now, and I'm hoping to find it back again at some point.
Well, and it changes. Let's be honest. Like, not
this roller coaster I've been on the last couple of years. I know people have been downright worried about me. Like, they'll get little notes, or people will talk to me, and start, talking to me about that they think this is getting to a serious point and stuff, and then that gets me thinking.
Oh boy.
And I like how you said that you look at the world and you don't feel necessarily part of it, and you're okay with that. You like watching it, and you participate where you have to.
I'm very happy to watch other people participate.
And with me, I think I'm starting to look at the world, but I'm starting to see things in the world that I'm really not liking. Yeah. And I thought at this point in my life, I should be starting to like happiness and flowers, and I'm starting to think, how come we haven't really evolved as people? Like, maybe because I've come to terms with the fact that this is the person I am. I'm open. I'm going to talk about my feelings. I am oversensitive. And when I start saying that the world isn't like that, and that why are we diagnosing me here? This is not a health thing, but it scares me to a point because I'm starting to feel like even when my life is awesome, and this is the part that gets me, is I think my life is great. Like, I've got everything I want right now. like, sure, things could be better, you know, jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, my personal life is great. I like my creative side. I love that I have some really good friends that I can count on. But and then there's times where it's just like I'm still not happy, and it drives me crazy because I feel I should be. So that's where I'm at. But I'm almost to the point where I'm getting too deep. I'm getting too deep.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's totally cool with me. I talk about this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, when I talk to you, I get a real positive energy from you, and I feel like
I always try to put a positive spin on everything I do.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, when you teach improv, you're always highlighting the positives. You very rarely, if never, say this was wrong or this is bad. So I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that, because again, we don't know each other very well, but
yeah.
I don't see that side of you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad it not looked like just like, oh, here he comes, Mr. Depression. Yeah, I know. Like,
here comes Donald. Maybe that's who Donald is now.
Maybe it is. I thought they were closer together than that.
Donald Harry, two totally depressed.
Maybe it's Devlin that's that, and I just don't know.
Maybe
I got a split personality now because I don't know. No, I quite know the difference between them. They don't have conversations, and they're not plotting against one another.
And it's so easy to get sucked into the bad. There's so much just bullshit out in the world that, like, we are bombarded with constantly.
I get it.
You know, so it's really hard to, and that's the way media is designed. It's designed to depress the shit out of you, so that you'll go to the store and buy more and eat more and, you know, try to. Anyway, but I like to try to subscribe to the thought that actually the world is amazing.
There's a lot of amazing.
There's so much amazing.
There is
so many amazing things happening out there. Amazing people and amazing developments and yada yada yada. I try to hang on to that and be like, yeah, I'm a part of that. Yeah. I'm not a part of the, you know, the doldrums, right?
And that's a nice positive note to leave it on.
I think maybe we could. Why not? I think art should be positive.
It should be. Yeah. I always, even when I have a dark podcast, I always try to leave it on a positive note, because I don't want anyone to be like, that was depressing, you know. I don't want that. You said YouTube, you can see the
right, yeah. So I'll show you the link. If you even just Google my name into YouTube,
okay,
you can do that. Or if you Google Jesters Incognito,
we'll find it.
Yeah. You'll find it.
And where can people get the book if they're interested in it?
You can order it online.
Okay.
You can go to my website.
You have a website?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we'll put the link to that too.
Yeah, and also you can go on Amazon and type in Jesters Incognito.
Okay.
You can get it there too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Definitely check this guy's stuff out. It's very creative. I can't wait to see what's up next for you. Sounds like you got a lot of stuff in the fire.
Yeah, there's some goodies coming up.
Very good.
It's going to be fun.
Harrison, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Devlin. It's been really, really nice.
That's good. We'll have you back then.
Indeedy doody.
All right. You have a great day out there, and thank you for making us a part of your day. Talk to you very soon.